We are violating all the rules here because both of these teams, the Buffalo Sabres and the Vegas Golden Knights, have games later today. But this is a video topic that I honestly wanted to explore a little bit more earlier on in the year. However, I'm looking through my archives on my calendar app and my thumbnail database, and I unfortunately was not able to find anything on YouTube of us going over these two guys in the same video. And that's kind of mind-blowing to me, which is why we're going out there and correcting that mistake today. We're heading over to the Buffalo Sabres and talking about Tage Thompson, the absolute behemoth of a man in terms of his on-ice production and his size, and we're also talking about Vegas Golden Knights superstar Jack Eichel, former Buffalo Sabres captain and recent trade chip over there. The angle that I initially wanted to focus on was how Tage Thompson is kind of already better than everything Jack Eichel was for the Buffalo Sabres. However, this idea was expanded on even more when I saw this article pop up on my newsfeed. It's from SaberNoise.com, which is the Sabres version of Fansided. It's published by Sion Fox from yesterday, and it asks the question as to whether or not the Eichel trade brewed what is essentially Tage Thompson's legend right now. Sion brings up some really good points, which is why we're talking about the article here today. Link in the description if you want to go ahead and read it in full. It's a pretty short read, but it's one that I do think is quite noteworthy. Take a look at this. What is written about here? One aspect of the trade that sent Eichel to the Vegas Golden Knights that I never considered was the fact that it could help spur Tage Thompson's growth from a fringe bottom six forward into a brewing legend. At the time of recording this audio, if you go over to Tage Thompson and his production, this season the guy is still doing pretty well. Surprise, surprise. He's got 55 freaking points in 36 games played and 30 goals in the process too. He is almost a goal-a-game player. He is on pace for 125 points. And if you go over to the last 2 years' worth of Tage Thompson play, he's got 114 games and scored 123 points. When you look at overall numbers, Tage outlasted Eichel in virtually every aspect. While Eichel is enjoying a remarkable season himself, it is nowhere near what Tage has done. Just for reference, let's head over to the Golden Knights and review what Jack Eichel has done this season. The guy is at a 79-point pace. He's got 32 points in 28 games played. However, that 79-point pace is only on a max of 69 games played. So a very nice amount of games played right there. This would be his highest point production season since the last 2 years he had in Buffalo, and it actually would match his career high in terms of points per game. That was 2019-20, where he had 78 points in 68 games played. You could see the numbers are kind of uncannily similar. He had 36 goals and 42 assists back then. He is on pace for 35 goals and 44 points right now in one more game played. He also had himself an 82-point season back in 2018-19 in 77 games played. So Jack Eichel has always been sort of a beast, but the past few years saw him take a few steps back due to the surgery and all the controversy that surrounded that situation in Buffalo. But now Eichel's in Vegas, and he's doing really well. Like, you could see that a lot of the traits that made him such a valuable pick at second overall back in 2015 are still there. He's able to control pace of play, and he does so effortlessly. He's able to hold the puck out so far that nobody's able to swat it away from him. He just has so much control, finesse, and the brute strength behind his game as well. He has been a very welcome addition to the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm going to be real here with you. Part of the reason I even wanted to make this video now was because I saw the Vegas Golden Knights Pride warm-up jerseys that they had, and I was like, oh, that is an absolutely beautiful jersey. I gotta do something with a player wearing that and put it in a thumbnail or something, because that looks amazing. And I was like, okay, let's talk about Eichel. It's about time. It's that Rachel McAdams movie. It's a very good movie, by the way. Either way, let's go over to what the article has to say, because, of course, when it comes to Tage versus Eichel, Tage is on pace for a lot more than what Eichel is at right now. Tage is younger than Eichel by a season, and Tage is the number one guy in terms of where the Buffalo Sabres are on their forward core. What if the Sabres and Eichel worked out their differences and the trade never occurred? Would Tage be on the top line today, or would this team look dramatically different? It talks about initially how Tage would have had a different role with the Sabres. Given Tage's 55 points in 36 games this season, I'll go on record, the writer says, that he would still have a larger role with the team than he had previously. However, it's highly unlikely Tage would be the star he is today, and it's even more likely the Sabres wouldn't be the high-octane team as a result. This is mostly because of the trade itself, wherein the Eichel acquisition netted the Sabres some very good assets. Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuch coming the other way, and you also have to think that Tage's minutes would have been held back. Plus, there's the argument brought up here that the Sabres instead would have been building around Jack Eichel, trying to surround him with talent, and if you don't have Krebs and Tuch, that kind of takes away a lot of your leadership there and the youth because Krebs is still a pretty young guy. And then there's the entire idea as to how the Sabres probably wouldn't have signed Tage Thompson to that huge deal had Eichel been around and Thompson would have been held back. Again, there's more that's discussed in this article, so you can go ahead and click the link in the description to read it if you want, but this is a crazy idea, just thinking about how things have gone down this path. Just a few years ago, everybody was thinking that Buffalo was built on the backs of Eichel, this team, and how their success would transpire over the next few years with Dahlin. This would be at the hands of Jack Eichel, forcing things to go his way, after initially being the second overall consolation prize behind Connor McDavid, the not so much of a consolation prize because he's just too good to be a consolation prize type of consolation prize. He was crazy good, but he was never this good. Tage Thompson level good, 68 goal and 125 point good. Not to mention the fact that Thompson has all the physical tools and superior sort of build over Eichel. And then you look at the trade and you acknowledge where the team itself is, how they've rejuvenated their spirit and they're a fun team to watch now ever since Eichel left. It's kind of funny, but you know, maybe getting rid of Eichel was the best thing that could have happened to this franchise. It set off this domino effect that led to the emergence of Tage, the leadership of Tuch, and the fun of the rest of the team. Meanwhile, it's a win for Vegas because, hey, they got a guy that's really freaking good. He's one of the best players in that team. And once he really finds his stride again to the point where he's not getting injured and he gets an 82 game played season, I have no doubt that Eichel has maybe 90, 95, 100 point potential if he does extraordinary things in the next few years with the extraordinary talent around him in Vegas. But for Thompson, he's kind of doing all of that and more already. So, talk to the comments your thoughts, the idea of how Jack Eichel walked so Tage Thompson could run. The Eichel trade set the Sabres up for success in the best way possible, and you gotta remember that Tage Thompson is signed for 1.4 AAV this year. His 7.1 AAV kicks in next season until 2030, which is already $3 million less than what Eichel is going to be making from now until the end of 2026 as well. I don't know why we waited so long to talk about the contracts, but that is indeed another point because Tage Thompson is on a much better deal than Eichel. Not that Eichel isn't a $10 million player, it's just Thompson is worth way more than 7.1, wherein he signed that extension last year. The fact that the Sabres committed so much earlier on, before he had a chance to go out there and post a 68-goal pace season, it's the best gamble that they could have made. So, talk to the comments your thoughts about Eichel, about Tage Thompson, about the setup here from Buffalo to Vegas and how Thompson emerged from that transaction there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.